Chapter 2. September. I've decided to take advantage of the weekend and go back to the market. I'm sure someone will finally agree to tell me more than the tidbits I've managed to gather up to now. Especially about the Malterre family. They seem to fascinate half the village and terrify the other half. I should start with the baker. If she hadn't finished her season already, she can be far off. She wouldn't be taking much of the risk, sharing some gossip with me, seeing as she's leaving until next summer. I see Gerard Boutin on the other side of the square. He's talking to someone, a tall man with self-possessed hair. I could go where so that he has to introduce me, but the baker is about to close. I might not get another chance to question Mrs. Bouchard. What should I do? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to the bakery. Seeing you've reopened the house, is someone living up there? Look, Mrs. Malterre, with all due respect, that's none of your business. Hello, Mr. Broutin. How are you doing? Oh, hello, miss. What a nice surprise. Let me introduce you to our mayor, Yves Malterre. Hello, Mr. Malterre. Pleased to meet you. I'm Daphne de la Tour. Daphne de la Tour. So it must be Sophie's daughter. I didn't know she had any children. Oh, that's not surprising. Mom left the village right after I was born. After thinking it over, Yves Malterre looks me over from head to toe, distrust and disdain in his eyes. I admit it makes me quite uncomfortable. Right after you were born, you say? That's strange. You thought that... Huh. Well, anyway. Never mind. I'm rambling, sorry. Are you passing through? I imagine you must be eager to get rid of that unheatable old ruin. Oh, no, not at all. I'm staying, at least for the next 6 months. Working as a substitute at the middle school. Oh, well. So, how do you like our little village? It's not exactly Paris, London, or New York, but we do our best to make people welcome. If you need anything, you know where to find me. He nudges me jovially with his elbow. It's got Town Hall written above the door. Goodbye, young lady. Gerard, always good to see you. So that's the famous Mr. Malterre? Yes, it is, and you should be careful of him. Everyone seems to be scared of them. Why? They have a reputation, and it's them who call the shots around here. Not only does half the town work in their sawmill, but Mr. Malterre is the mayor too. It's been like that for generations, and I have to tell you, it's always been bad blood between the Malterres and the de la Tours. Perhaps, but now that I'm here, things are going to change, I can promise you. I'm not going to let them walk all over me. That's not where I thought that's going to go. You'd better off not adding fuel to the flames. If the Malterres decide that you're a threat, they'll do everything in their power to make you leave. I'm sure there's something shady going on. Ever since I arrived, it's weird. The castle, that family. You should keep your head down and stay out of it. If you want my advice, nothing good will come of getting involved. Well, I still have a few things to do. Perhaps I'll see you later, Mr. Boutin? He gives me a small nod and heads to his car. Of course, when I reach the baker, it's already closed for the weekend. Too bad. I go around the shops, trying to find out about the Malterres as I buy fresh contents for my refrigerator. Fortunately, now that I've been identified as the young heiress, their tongues are tied. The villagers have become surly, polite, yet distant. As I carry my groceries to the car, it begins to rain. and it doesn't stop for the whole weekend, the beginning of the next week. I'm at school, teaching geometry to my 6th grade class when nature finally intervenes to give the sun back. But the respite is short-lived when a bit later I discover a summons to the principal's office in my locker. Even though I'm now on the other side of the fence, and I no longer risk a detention, I admit it worries me a little, adding a sense of menace to this otherwise radiant September day. When I venture into the principal's office, I discover Mr. Chestnut, the principal, in a heated debate with someone who, I guess, is the irate mother of one of my pupils. The poor man is ashen, he cowers behind his desk, and he's so hunched up in his big leather chair, it's as if he's melting into the upholstery. Please, Mrs. Levesque, you must admit that your demands are most unusual, to say the least. We've had nothing but praise for Miss Delatour's professionalism and her devotion to the teaching of mathematics. Ah, here she comes. Mr. Chestnut fixes me with an imploring gaze, as if I was the only hope of salvation. Did you want to see me? Ah, yes, please, take a seat. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Levesque, Jean-Baptiste's mother. You know, one of your 6th grade students. Hello, Mrs. Levesque. It's nice to meet you. I'm Daphne Delatour, Mrs. Dupuy's substitute. I'm really very satisfied with your son's work. He's an excellent student. Are you kidding me? You must realize I'm not here to talk about my son's math skills. Look, Let Mr. Chestnut, I'm not going to exchange words with this. Anyway, we had an agreement, you and I hope you'll keep to your word. Jean-Baptiste's mother glares at me coldly. I hear the director mutter in his breath. But we hadn't agreed to anything. I don't know what to make of the situation. After a few seconds that feel like hours, I give up and say, what exactly is the problem? I'm sure we can find a solution. I'm not sure how to tell you this. Mrs. Levesque wishes to remove her son from your class? I don't understand. Are you insinuating that there's something wrong with my teaching? Why would you want to remove your son from my class? This has nothing to do with your teaching. Mrs. Levesque, be reasonable. You can't ask to change the classes just like that for no good reason. For no good reason? Ha! That's it! You're falling under the Delatour spell too! That family of pagans! You arrive in town just like that, you think you can get away with anything? But me, I can see what you're up to, and I won't be fooled like the others. Do you want me to say it? What you are? A witch! The middle option might be, yeah. Please, madam, calm down. I assure you that I don't mean any harm to yourself or your son. It's not my fault if my family has a reputation in the area. I would happily continue to explain myself, but Mr. Chestnut interrupts to cut short the discussion. You see, I was sure that if we discuss it rationally, we could come to a consensus. I trust you're reassured, Mrs. Levesque. And Miss Delatour, I hope I can rely on you to take good care of our dear Jean-Baptiste's progress. Of course, sir. I'll pay special attention. What? Oh! You're in it together! There's no other explanation! You, Delatour, you won't get away with this. You haven't heard the last of me. Without warning, she leaves the room, slamming the door behind her. There's an awkward silence, which is quickly broken by Jean Chestnut. That's the 3rd time she's burst into my office for this nonsense. I believe I owe you one, Daphne. You're welcome, Mr. Chestnut. Soothing parents' irrational fears is also part of the job description. When I finally get out of school, it's almost dark and the rain is pouring down again. As if today's events hadn't already annoyed me enough. Seriously, how could that woman smear my family name like that? I know that the Delators have a bit of a reputation in the area, but to call me a witch to my face in my workplace? Even if I did have magical powers, how could she think I would harm a child? That's appalling. I've lit a cigarette and I'm sitting by the window brooding over these thoughts. When suddenly, the headlights of a car illuminate the bend in the road. To my surprise, it turns at the gate and comes up to the lane to a house. Who would visit me this late? I think I recognize the grubby grey van with the ladder on its roof and the hastily patched up right-wing winner. How is this possible? What is he doing here? I run down the stairs. I open the front door. Frank? There he is, my ex-lover at the door, drenched by the relentless rain. My heart sings at the thought of seeing him, talking to him once again, just when I'd resigned myself to the fact that he was a remnant of the past. First happy, then not so much. Daphne? How long do you plan on making me wait in the rain? We need to talk. But, what are you doing here? Frank stands in the hallway watching me, worried. Are you alright? I mean, like, generally? Well, I'm okay. It's a big change, but it's what I needed. I think I made the right move coming here. I'm glad to hear it, even if I'm not convinced. Anyway, this isn't a courtesy call. I received some mail you might not be happy about. Did you say mail? Yes. A letter from your mother. I know your relationship's difficult, so I fear it's probably important. Then I had to track you down, which wasn't exactly child's play. It would have been easier if you'd left me your new address. Since I'm a bit in between jobs, I thought I'd take a few days off. Frank smiled at me, looking amused and pretending to check out the room. He adds, funny. I've been dreaming of a weekend in a bed and breakfast, or should I say a castle and breakfast? Stop making fun of me. You know Lady of the Manor really isn't my style. No? I think it suits you perfectly. Do you mind if I call you Lady Delator from now on? Quit talking crap. What? Did you like Lady Delator? What about Lady Daphne? Or Your Grace? Your Grace sounds perfect, don't you think? Frank is wandering around the hall, inspecting the furniture and ornaments. If there is one thing he's particularly good at, it's the way he can diffuse tense situations. Do you mind if we talk about it tomorrow? I've got to say I'm shattered. As he speaks, he pulls a letter from his inside pocket and places it on the chest of drawers in the hall. Your mother's letter. I know it's not easy for you, but if you need to talk about it, I'm right here. Thank you. Well, if it's okay with you, I'm going to crash at your sofa for a few hours. There's like 4,000 rooms up there. I can't let you sleep on the sofa. I'll set you up in a guest room. Even better, show me the way. I wake up early in the next morning. Frank must still be asleep upstairs. Won't be awake up for at least a couple of hours if I know him. I don't feel like getting up yet, so I decide to stay snuggled under the quilt for a few more minutes. Think about what happened yesterday and how odd the situation is. Frank is fast asleep in a room just a few yards from mine. I can't believe he came all this way just to bring me a letter from Mom. Is he regretting our breakup? Is this letter just a pretext to see me again? I swear to never see him again after everything we'd gone through. We met almost 10 years ago. It was all so unlikely. We had such completely different lifestyles. He was a carpenter and I was a freshman at the university, science major, had just arrived in town. There's a party at an acquaintance's. I still don't know why I was invited. I don't know why I went either. I guess when you're 20 years old, you jump at the occasion to go out. I guess the idea of escaping my student digs was enough to convince me to put on a pretty dress and jump on a bus. Frank shouldn't have been there either. He was working on a particularly demanding project, but our hostess had insisted until he had given up and agreed to come. I guess that's what we call fate. The magic worked right away. Then it was the same old story. A few years later, we moved in together. It was stupid paying 2 rents when we were living with each other all the time. 2 years ago, we took things a step further. Frank's small carpentry business was doing well, my PhD was on track. The subject just came up by itself. Frank asked me if I wanted to have a baby. For him, it was so simple. He was so sure about it. He was so sure of everything, of the strength of our relationship, that he didn't want to wait any longer, that it was the right time. I'd cold feet at first, objecting that I wanted to finish my PhD first, that we would have to think about it, but he managed to convince me. It wasn't that hard, I loved him more than anything, and I knew that. Sooner or later, I would want to start a family with him. Why wait? We were happy. And then, late in pregnancy, a few weeks before the due date, I lost the child. They made me keep the lifeless thing in my belly for days until the doctors decided to induce labor. They didn't understand what had gone wrong. Frank stayed with me at every step. He held my hand as I expelled death from my womb. The doctor refused to let me see the baby, objecting that I was too fragile to handle it, but I saw Frank's eyes when they pulled the motionless and silent corpse out of me. I clung to him as much as I could, but there was a chasm in my chest. I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I knew something was irrevocably broken. Frank decided to incinerate the body, scatter the ashes. Burying the body meant naming it, making it in a way exist. That was much more than we could bear. In any case, I was incapable of making any decisions. When the first shock wave and the tsunami it created in our lives finally receded, I realized our relationship was doomed. We did all we could to overcome the misery, but sooner or later we had to face facts. We broke up without a fight. We agreed we couldn't go on like that. Frank kept our old apartment and I took a furnished flat in the meantime. Then, a couple of months later, the notary told me my grandmother had just passed away. She had bequeathed everything to me. I take a quick shower, then go downstairs. The noise from the coffee machine tells me that Frank's found his way to the kitchen. Mom's letter is still propped on the chest of drawers in the hall. I'll have to open it sooner or later. What should I start with? The envelope is dog-eared and yellowing, as though it had traveled a lot. The stamp is foreign. The lettering tells me that it was probably posted somewhere in Asia. I open it with a shaking hand. It's the first news I've had from her for years. It's been what, 5 years? 6? Can't remember the last time we talked. Frank has never even met her. She was always a terrible mother, extremely controlling, but also glacially cold and strict. When I turned 18, I got a university scholarship which allowed me some financial independence, which in turn quickly became total independence. I couldn't put up with her interference in my life any longer. Little by little, we lost touch. One year, I made an excuse not to visit her at Christmas. The next year, I just sent a card. I started to filter her calls, and one day, the phone stopped ringing. The bond was broken, and the years have passed without me noticing her absence. When I tried to contact her, she had disappeared without leaving an address. I must admit, didn't try very hard to track her down. Now, out of nowhere, she comes back into my life with this letter. Her nervous, jerky handwriting hasn't changed. The content of the letter, though, is as cryptic as it is brief. Daphne, please don't accept the inheritance from your grandmother. Don't go back there. You'll only be putting yourself in danger. Regards, Sophie de la Tour. That closing says a lot about her tender-heartedness. I wasn't expecting your mommy who loves you, but, well, Mom never talked about the time she spent here with my grandmother at the castle. It seemed obvious to me that something had happened, but what? I turned this over in my mind as I entered the kitchen. Frank holds a steaming mug of coffee and is gazing out through the French windows. So you managed to figure out the coffee machine? You know me, without my morning caffeine, I'm a total zombie. Did you sleep well? Very well. Thanks for asking. You? The bed's comfortable and the silence of the countryside is refreshing. It's been ages since I've slept so well. Listen, Daphne, I won't beat around the bush. I'm not here for the scenery. You must have figured that out by now. I think it was a mistake to break up. I get a funny feeling you're going to blow me off straight away, but I have to ask, do you think we could try again? I don't know. I need to think about it. Okay, I understand. For me, it's very clear. To my astonishment, his face relaxes all at once. He grins at me and changes the subject. So, seriously, what have you been doing here all this time? I tell him about my life and everything that's happened since I arrived. The Bourtines, the Malterres, the tower with no entrance, and all the crazy stuff. I mentioned that now I'm a schoolteacher. I also tell him about Mom's letter. He's not sure what to make of it either. Right, well, I've got to say your stories are very exciting, but also kind of worrying. Here's what I suggest. Whatever happens, I'm going to stick around here for a while. I don't have any contracts in the near future, and I can afford to give myself a couple weeks off. After that, we'll see. If I find some work around here, I'll stay a few more months. It's not as if there's anyone waiting for me to come home, and it would give us time to think things over. Does it bother you if I stay at the castle for a week or two, just until I can find a room somewhere? Sure. Did you think I'd throw you out? Of course you can stay for a few days until you get your bearings. Thanks. It's kind of you not to make me homeless. Don't thank me, it's the least I can do. So how do we do this? I don't want to get under your feet. There's no reason we'd be in each other's way. The house is plenty big enough for both of us. I was just thinking, I'd better tell the wardens we're here before I leave. We don't want Mr. Bourtine to shoot you like a rabbit if he sees you hanging around the house. That's very reassuring. Don't be silly. They're very nice. You'll see. I've really got to get going. Enjoy your day. You too. I try to put my thoughts in order as I drive to school. It's quite a lot to digest. The day flies by, fast as an arrow. With everything that's happened since yesterday, I'm having trouble keeping my mind on my work. When I get back to the castle, there's light and movement. Even if it's only temporary, I'm glad not to be alone for a while. It makes a nice change from my last few weeks of solitude. Fire crackles in the hearth, and delicious smells drift out of the kitchen. It's almost too perfect, and I have a hard time not taking advantage of Frank's kindness. He seems determined to see to my every need. Still, he manages to keep out of my way. We eat our meals together, but otherwise we get on with our own business in different parts of the house. As promised, about 10 days later, he tells me he's found a small furnished flat in the village and he's moving in the next day. I'm relieved to see him go. I've got a feeling that if he stayed much longer, the situation would become awkward. Days, then weeks go by, and I slip back into my routine of the school, the village, and the house. I'm walking in the forest. The leaves have begun to redden. The trees are clad in the bold colors of fall. It's getting late, but I'm too busy strolling along the path. I hadn't noticed, but night has begun to fall. I can see the castle at the end of the trail, but as I get closer, it seems to move away. I feel a presence behind me, something deeply evil, ominous, almost sickening. I begin to run. The house has disappeared completely, and I find myself in some kind of meadow. There's something in the middle, something that softly reflects the moonlight. As I get closer, I discover it's an oval pool filled with silvery liquid. The image reflected on the surface is me, but not me at the same time. The sensation of dissonance gets stronger as I draw nearer. I can make out my facial features, but something has changed. I'm barefoot. There's something different about my bearing, the way I carry myself. My hair is longer. It reaches the middle of my back. Most strange of all, it's pure white. When I look into my reflection, I seem so calm, so at peace. I reach toward the mirrored surface, my finger stretched out, and the reflection starts to tremble, as if it was resonating. When my finger touches the cold and strange clammy surface, it shatters into 1,000 pieces. For a few moments, the darkness is absolute. I'm in some kind of garden, a heavy fog surrounds me. I'm moving toward a reddish light that pulls me toward it like a lighthouse in a muffled, turbid storm. I can make out a statue, a sort of human-sized sphinx, carved in granite. There is something majestic yet profoundly sad in the hunched-up, impassive attitude of the creature. When I'm close enough to distinguish it, I realize the creature wears my face. I see my countenance reflected in hers like a mirror. Then her eyes come alive, and the imploring, helpless look seems to beg for mercy. I'm frozen in contemplation, my heart overflowing with sadness and awe, when once again I feel the sickening presence like a warm breath on the back of my neck. I turn, struggling against the terror which invades me, and suddenly I'm falling endlessly. Darkness buries me. I wake up with a jolt.